Do rich people hide their wealth? And why? If I asked you, when you imagine a wealthy person, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Maybe it's an expensive sports car, a luxurious mansion, designer clothes, or luxury vacations all over social media. But in real life, the picture is often very different. Many people who are genuinely financially successful don't make a lot of noise about their wealth. They live like ordinary people. They don't constantly talk about their income, nor do they feel the need to show everything they own to others. That doesn't mean they're stingy or that they don't have money. It simply means their priorities are different. They understand that the true purpose of wealth isn't to impress people, it's to secure financial freedom for themselves and their families. When you constantly show off your wealth, you don't just attract admiration, you also invite envy, unnecessary expectations, security risks, and social pressure. That's why many successful investors and entrepreneurs follow a simple principle: build wealth quietly. Let your results speak louder than your lifestyle. In other words, focus your energy on building assets, investments, and valuable skills, not on buying expensive things just to impress others. But there's one important point to understand. The purpose of this video is not to suggest that you should pretend to be poor, or act like you have less than you do. The message is simply that there's no need to unnecessarily show off your financial position. Truly wealthy people often build their value not through the size of their bank account, but through their knowledge, discipline, and long-term planning. So the real question is this: if showing off isn't a smart strategy, why do so many people try so hard to display their wealth? And what are the hidden costs of doing so? Rich versus wealthy. The difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. Most people use the words rich and wealthy as if they mean the same thing. In everyday conversations, if someone drives a luxury car, wears expensive clothes, or lives in a large house, people immediately assume that person is wealthy. But in personal finance, these two words describe very different realities. Understanding the difference between being rich and being wealthy can completely change the way you think about money. It can influence your spending habits, your investment decisions, and ultimately your financial future. What does it mean to be rich? Being rich usually means having a high income or access to a large amount of money. A rich person may earn hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars every year. However, income alone does not guarantee financial security. Imagine two people. The first person earns $500,000 a year, but spends almost all of it on luxury cars, expensive vacations, designer clothing, a massive mortgage, and maintaining a lifestyle that matches their income. The second person earns only $100,000 a year but spends carefully, invests consistently, and avoids unnecessary debt. The first person appears rich. The second person is quietly building wealth. This is one of the biggest misconceptions about money. High income does not automatically create wealth. Income is simply money coming in. Wealth is what remains after you save, invest, and grow your assets over time. What does it mean to be wealthy? Being wealthy means owning assets that continue producing value even if you stop working tomorrow. A wealthy person has financial freedom. Their investments, businesses, rental properties, dividends, royalties, or other assets generate enough income to support their lifestyle. Instead of depending entirely on a monthly paycheck, their money works for them. That is the real goal. Wealth is not about how much money passes through your hands. It is about how much money stays with you and continues growing. A wealthy individual thinks about decades, not days. Instead of asking, how can I spend more, they ask, how can I own more productive assets? The difference between income and net worth. One of the biggest differences between rich and wealthy people is understanding net worth. Income tells you how much money you earn. Net worth tells you how much you actually own. For example, imagine someone earning $1 million every year, but owing $950,000 in loans and debt. Another person earns $150,000 annually, but owns investments worth $10 million. Who is actually wealthier? The second person. Because wealth is measured by assets minus liabilities, not by salary. Many people spend years trying to increase income while completely ignoring their net worth. Successful wealth builders focus on increasing assets instead. Looking rich versus being wealthy. Looking rich is easy. Many people can finance luxury cars, expensive watches, designer handbags, and large houses using debt. Banks make this possible. Credit cards make this possible. Car loans make this possible. Social media encourages this behavior every day. But appearances can be deceiving. Someone posting luxury vacations online might have enormous debt behind the scenes. Someone wearing simple clothes might own businesses worth millions. The lesson is simple. Lifestyle is not always an accurate reflection of financial success. Why do people want to look rich? Humans naturally seek social approval. People often buy expensive products not because they truly need them, but because they want recognition. Luxury goods can become symbols of success. Many individuals hope expensive possessions will earn admiration, respect, or higher social status. This desire is understandable, but it often leads to poor financial decisions. When your goal becomes impressing others, your spending usually increases faster than your wealth. This creates a dangerous cycle. Higher income leads to higher spending. Higher spending requires higher income. Instead of achieving financial freedom, people become trapped maintaining an expensive lifestyle. Wealthy people think differently. People who build lasting wealth often ask completely different questions. Instead of asking, "What can I buy?" they ask, "What can I invest in?" Instead of spending every salary increase, they increase investments. Instead of purchasing liabilities, they acquire assets. Instead of chasing appearances, they focus on long-term financial independence. Their mindset is centered on ownership rather than consumption. Imagine receiving the biggest salary raise of your life. For years, you dreamed about this moment. You believed that once you started earning more money, financial stress would disappear forever. You imagined saving more, investing more, and finally becoming financially secure. But something unexpected happens. A few months later, you look at your bank account and realize that despite earning significantly more than before, you still feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. How is that possible? Where did all the extra money go? This phenomenon is known as lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the biggest reasons why many high-income earners never become truly wealthy. Lifestyle inflation, sometimes called lifestyle creep, happens when your spending rises every time your income increases. Instead of using additional income to build wealth, people gradually upgrade almost every aspect of their lives. Bigger salaries lead to bigger houses, newer cars, more expensive restaurants, luxury vacations, premium gadgets, designer clothes, and higher monthly bills. At first, each purchase seems reasonable. After all, you worked hard for that promotion. You deserve a better lifestyle. There is nothing wrong with improving your quality of life. The problem begins when every increase in income immediately turns into an increase in expenses. Eventually, your spending grows just as fast as your earnings. Instead of becoming financially independent, you become financially dependent on maintaining an increasingly expensive lifestyle. Why does lifestyle inflation happen? Lifestyle inflation is not simply about money. It is deeply connected to psychology. Human beings naturally adapt to improvements. What once felt luxurious eventually becomes normal. Think back to your first smartphone. You probably treated it with extreme care and appreciated every feature. It felt amazing because it was something new. A few years later, that same phone feels slow and outdated. Now you want the newest model. Nothing changed about your basic needs. Your expectations changed. The same process happens with income. A salary that once seemed like a dream eventually feels ordinary. Instead of appreciating the increase, your brain quickly adjusts and starts searching for the next upgrade. Psychologists refer to this tendency as hedonic adaptation. People quickly become accustomed to improvements, causing temporary happiness to fade. That is why buying more expensive possessions rarely creates lasting satisfaction. The excitement disappears. Then we look for something even bigger or better. The invisible standard of living. One of the most dangerous things about lifestyle inflation is that it happens gradually. Very few people wake up one morning and decide to double their spending overnight. Instead, expenses increase one small decision at a time. You move to a slightly nicer apartment. Then you buy a newer car. Then you upgrade your furniture. You subscribe to additional streaming services. You start ordering food more often. Weekend shopping becomes routine. Premium products slowly replace basic ones. Each decision seems small on its own. Together, they permanently increase your monthly expenses. Eventually, your new lifestyle becomes your normal lifestyle. Going back feels like a sacrifice. Even though only a few years ago you lived happily without those extra expenses. Income does not create wealth automatically. Many people believe that earning more money automatically solves financial problems. Unfortunately, this assumption is often false. A person earning $50,000 annually can become financially secure through disciplined investing. Another person earning $500,000 annually can remain financially stressed if spending increases just as quickly. Income provides opportunity. Behavior determines results. This explains why many professional athletes, celebrities, entertainers, and business executives have experienced serious financial difficulties, despite earning enormous amounts of money. The issue was never income. The issue was uncontrolled spending. The social comparison trap. Humans naturally compare themselves with others. Throughout history, comparison helped people understand their position within communities. Today, comparison has become much more dangerous. Social media exposes us to thousands of carefully selected moments every single day. Luxury vacations, brand new cars, expensive watches, beautiful homes, designer clothing, fine dining, successful-looking lifestyles. Most people share their highlights. Almost nobody shares their debt. This creates a distorted picture of reality. As incomes increase, many individuals begin comparing themselves with people who earn even more. Instead of appreciating progress, they feel behind. This emotional pressure encourages unnecessary spending. Why do expenses increase as income increases? In the first part, we explored what lifestyle inflation is, why it happens, and how it quietly increases our spending as our income grows. Now let's examine the long-term consequences, and, more importantly, how to avoid this financial trap. The cost of lifestyle inflation over time. Lifestyle inflation usually doesn't hurt you immediately. In fact, it often feels rewarding at first. A better home, a newer car, or more frequent vacations can genuinely improve your quality of life. The problem is that these decisions have a cumulative effect. Imagine two friends, Alex and Ben, who both receive a $20,000 annual salary increase. Alex decides to upgrade almost everything in his life. He buys a luxury car, moves into a larger apartment, dines out more often, and spends most of his raise on lifestyle improvements. Ben also celebrates his success, but instead of spending the entire raise, he increases his investments while making only modest lifestyle upgrades. 10 or 20 years later, their financial lives look completely different. Alex may still earn a high income, but he depends on it to maintain his expensive lifestyle. Ben, on the other hand, has built a portfolio of investments that generates income on its own. The difference wasn't their salary. The difference was how they used the extra money. The magic of compounding. Albert Einstein is often credited with calling compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether or not he actually said it, the principle remains incredibly powerful. Compounding means your money earns returns, and then those returns begin earning returns as well. The earlier you invest and the more consistently you invest, the more powerful compounding becomes. Now think about lifestyle inflation. Every unnecessary dollar you spend is a dollar that cannot compound for years or decades. When people repeatedly choose consumption over investing, they don't just lose today's money, they also lose the future growth that money could have generated. This hidden cost is enormous. A relatively small monthly investment can grow into a significant amount over a long period. Lifestyle inflation steals that opportunity little by little. The difference between temporary happiness and permanent security. Buying something new feels exciting. Your brain releases dopamine, creating a temporary sense of pleasure. But psychological research consistently shows that this excitement fades surprisingly quickly. The new car becomes your normal car. The bigger house becomes your normal house. The luxury watch becomes just another watch. This is the nature of hedonic adaptation. Financial security, however, works differently. Having an emergency fund, owning investments, knowing you can survive unexpected expenses, having enough money to retire comfortably. These things provide long-lasting peace of mind rather than short-term excitement. Lifestyle inflation often trades permanent security for temporary happiness. Why wealthy people spend differently. One of the biggest misconceptions is that wealthy people never spend money. That isn't true. Many wealthy individuals enjoy luxury products. The difference is when and how they buy them. Instead of financing luxury through debt, they often allow their investments to pay for it. Their assets generate income. That income funds their lifestyle. In other words, they let wealth create luxury rather than letting luxury prevent wealth. This is a completely different way of thinking. Assets first, luxuries later. Imagine planting a fruit tree. You wouldn't cut it down the first year just to enjoy a small amount of wood. Instead, you let it grow because it will produce fruit year after year. Investments work the same way. Assets are like fruit trees. The longer they grow, the more valuable they become. Lifestyle inflation encourages people to spend the seed instead of planting it. Wealthy individuals focus on growing the tree first. Only later do they enjoy the fruit. Financial freedom requires low fixed expenses. Many people believe financial freedom depends only on earning more money. In reality, it also depends on how much money you need to maintain your lifestyle. Imagine two people. The first person spends $15,000 every month. The second person spends $4,000 every month. Who needs a larger investment portfolio to become financially independent? Obviously, the first person. Higher expenses require significantly more wealth. By controlling lifestyle inflation, you reduce the amount of money needed to achieve financial independence. Every unnecessary recurring expense moves the finish line farther away. The danger of identity spending. Another hidden cause of lifestyle inflation is identity. People begin connecting expensive possessions with personal success. A luxury car becomes part of their identity. A designer wardrobe becomes part of their identity. A large home becomes proof of success. When possessions become part of your identity, reducing spending feels emotionally painful. People become trapped maintaining an image rather than building wealth. True confidence comes from financial stability, not public approval. How successful wealth builders handle salary increases. One of the most effective financial habits is deciding in advance how every salary increase will be used. For example, instead of spending an entire raise, increase your investments first. Increase retirement contributions. Build an emergency fund. Pay off high-interest debt. Invest in productive assets. Only then consider modest lifestyle improvements. This approach allows you to enjoy higher income without allowing lifestyle inflation to consume it. The 50% rule. Many financial planners recommend a simple strategy. Whenever your income increases, avoid spending the entire raise. Instead, divide it. Use part of the increase to improve your lifestyle. Use the remaining portion to build wealth. For example, if your annual income increases by $10,000, you might invest $5,000 and use the other $5,000 for lifestyle improvements. This creates balance. You enjoy today's success while protecting tomorrow's financial future. Build wealth quietly. One interesting observation about financially successful people is that many of them don't feel the need to prove their success publicly. Their satisfaction comes from ownership rather than appearance. They understand that investments don't receive as many compliments as luxury cars. But investments create freedom. Luxury often creates obligations. The wealthy focus on what increases freedom rather than what increases attention. Practical ways to avoid lifestyle inflation. There is no need to avoid enjoying your money. The goal is simply to spend intentionally. Here are several practical strategies. Increase automatic investments every time your salary increases. Avoid making major purchases immediately after receiving a raise. Wait at least 30 days before buying expensive luxury items. Focus on increasing your net worth instead of your lifestyle. Avoid comparing yourself to people on social media. Buy quality when necessary, but avoid buying things purely for status. Regularly review recurring subscriptions and monthly expenses. Remember that every recurring expense reduces future financial flexibility. These habits may appear simple, but over decades they create extraordinary results. The rich versus wealthy mindset. A person focused on appearing rich often asks, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" A person focused on becoming wealthy asks, "Will this purchase increase or decrease my future freedom?" That single question can completely change financial decisions. Money should buy freedom. Many people think money exists to buy expensive things. In reality, the greatest thing money can buy is freedom. Freedom from financial stress. Freedom from debt. Freedom to spend time with family. Freedom to choose meaningful work. Freedom to retire comfortably. Lifestyle inflation often delays all of these goals because it transforms higher income into higher obligations. Instead of buying freedom, people buy bigger monthly bills. A simple formula for wealth. Building wealth is not usually complicated. It requires consistency more than perfection. Earn more. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference. Allow time and compounding to work. Repeat this process for many years. Lifestyle inflation interrupts this formula by shrinking the gap between income and spending. Protecting that gap is one of the most important financial decisions anyone can make. Final thoughts. Every salary increase presents a choice. You can use it to impress people, or you can use it to build financial independence. One choice creates temporary excitement. The other creates lifelong freedom. Remember, becoming wealthier is not about denying yourself every pleasure. It is about making sure your spending reflects your long-term goals, rather than your short-term emotions. The people who achieve lasting financial success are not necessarily those who earn the most. They are the ones who consistently keep a healthy gap between what they earn and what they spend. Because wealth is not created by income alone. Wealth is created by what you choose to keep, invest, and allow to grow. In the end, lifestyle inflation is not a financial problem. It is a behavioral one. Once you learn to control your desires instead of letting your desires control your money, you begin moving toward true financial freedom. The goal is not to look successful today. The goal is to become financially secure for the rest of your life. Billionaires known for relatively modest lifestyles. What we can learn from Warren Buffett, Ingvar Kamprad, and Mark Zuckerberg. When most people imagine a billionaire, they picture an extravagant lifestyle, private jets, luxury yachts, multiple mansions, expensive sports cars. and unlimited spending. Popular culture has taught us that extreme wealth must always come with extreme luxury. While some billionaires certainly enjoy lavish lifestyles, others have taken a very different approach. They have become known for living more modestly than many people expect. This does not mean they live ordinary lives or never spend money. They still have access to extraordinary resources. However, compared with their enormous wealth, they often prioritize practicality, long-term thinking, and investing over constant displays of luxury. Three well-known examples are Warren Buffett, Ingvar Kamprad, and Mark Zuckerberg. Their lives are different in many ways, but they share one important lesson: real wealth is often built through discipline, not through constant spending. Warren Buffett, the billionaire who values simplicity. Warren Buffett is one of the world's most successful investors. For decades, he has consistently ranked among the richest people on earth. Yet despite his enormous fortune, he has become famous for many surprisingly simple habits. One of the most talked about facts is that he has lived in the same house in Omaha, Nebraska, for decades after purchasing it in the 1950s. Although he could easily afford one of the most expensive homes in the world, he has often said that his current home provides everything he needs. Buffett has repeatedly emphasized that happiness does not automatically increase with more expensive possessions. Instead of trying to impress others through luxury, he devoted most of his energy to investing wisely and building businesses. Another important lesson from Buffett is his attitude toward money. He sees money as a tool rather than a status symbol. Every dollar has the potential to become a productive asset through intelligent investment. This mindset explains why he focuses more on acquiring valuable businesses than buying unnecessary luxuries. Buffett has also spoken about the importance of patience. He believes wealth is built gradually through decades of disciplined investing, not through shortcuts or impulsive decisions. His life demonstrates that long-term thinking can be more valuable than short-term excitement. Ingvar Kamprad, the founder who hated waste. Another fascinating example is Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA. Despite becoming one of the richest entrepreneurs in the world, Kamprad became famous for his frugal lifestyle. Reports over the years described him flying economy on many trips, driving practical cars for long periods, and encouraging efficiency both in his personal life and throughout IKEA. His philosophy was simple: every unnecessary expense reduces resources that could be used more productively elsewhere. This philosophy shaped the entire IKEA business model. Instead of spending excessively on unnecessary luxury, the company focused on reducing costs, improving efficiency, and delivering value to customers. Kamprad believed that wasting money, even small amounts, could become a bad habit. He understood that financial discipline is not only about large decisions, it is built through thousands of small choices made consistently over many years. His example teaches us that becoming wealthy is often less about how much you earn and more about how wisely you manage what you already have. Mark Zuckerberg, practicality over constant luxury. Mark Zuckerberg became one of the youngest self-made billionaires after building Meta. Although he owns expensive properties and has access to enormous wealth, he has often been known publicly for certain practical habits. For many years, he became recognizable for wearing similar gray t-shirts and hoodies almost every day. When asked about this habit, he explained that reducing small daily decisions allowed him to preserve mental energy for more important work. This idea is known as reducing decision fatigue. Instead of spending unnecessary time choosing clothes every morning, he preferred simplicity and consistency. Zuckerberg has also frequently emphasized innovation, long-term thinking, and product development rather than focusing his public image on luxury consumption. His approach suggests that successful people often prioritize productivity over appearance. While his financial resources allow him to purchase almost anything, his public image has generally focused more on building technology than displaying wealth. The common pattern: although Buffett, Kamprad, and Zuckerberg come from completely different industries, they share several important characteristics. First, they understand the difference between assets and consumption.